It's really hard to imagine countries having different flags than what we know today. So many are often synonymous with the nation itself now. But for some of these places, with just a few minor tweaks throughout history, they could have been totally different. Sometimes for better, or for so much worse. The flag for the nation of Canada is today pretty iconic, but it was only officially adopted about 50 years ago. Meanwhile, you have nations like Denmark with an 800-year-old flag. Obviously, there was a big desire to remove the Union Jack from Canada. This was their old flag. However, this was one of the first proposed Canadian flags in 1930. Why? Maybe they were trying to stick to the Australian and New Zealand theme, but I don't know. This was the Star and Leaf proposal. They just wanted to add stars, I guess, to it. Why is it green, though? And here's another proposal made during the Great Flag Debate of 1964. I'm really curious to get your opinion on all of these. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel. It helps out a lot. Shows me you like these same subjects as I do. I actually still see some Canadians to this day that wish they would have gone with this one. I like the added blue. Another nation that came up with their flag relatively recently, the flag of the People's Republic of China, is actually only about 75 years old. However, this is what Mao Zedong himself proposed. I didn't realize he was making flag proposals. They also did have a version where they actually included the hammer and sickle. There were these two official proposals in 1949 for some reason that needed to add blue. I really wish I knew why. Okay, this is just North Korea. Did someone just say it's Tonga time? That is literally the island nation of Tonga's flag. There is actually so many proposals for the People's Republic of China, they ended up just kind of putting proposal number 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15. It just kept going and going and going. I do like that they took this stuff real seriously. It's also fascinating to see these flag proposals back 75 years ago. Some of these are giving me Spain vibes. I don't know, it's easy to understand why there's a vexology community nowadays, but I don't know, this seems like such a micro niche internet community. It's crazy to think they were doing it so long ago. Speaking of Denmark, though they have had arguably the world's oldest flag, they did still have debates about flags relatively recently, and that is due to their overseas territory of Greenland, which is currently sporting this flag, but there's been basically proposals to change that flag since the 70s, sometimes even further back than that. What I don't understand is why they didn't go with the Nordic style. All these countries agreed to do the same sort of format for their flag, yet Denmark, for their overseas territory, couldn't agree to do this same thing. Like, how did they mess this up? I feel like they had one job. Like, really? Well, look at all this. You look at the uniformity. And then there's Greenland. It makes me feel better that there were several proposals throughout the 90s and 70s to go with the Nordic cross. For some reason, a tricolor here. Here's one from 1978. Anonymous proposal. Are we sure they were anonymous? It seems like someone from the nation of Somalia could have suggested that one. While we're on this subject, the nation of Estonia has always wanted to join the Nordics, and I think the only thing that's really keeping them out is their official flag. It doesn't follow the template. One thing for Greenland not to follow it, that's just an overseas territory that Denmark controls. Estonia, you cannot be an independent nation and just think you could join the Nordics with this tricolor. However, over the course of the last 100 years, they've actually known that. They've been trying to go with the Nordic style. Oh man, just push one of these through. It doesn't even matter. You know, I was gonna start talking about the topic of Germany by saying it's hard to imagine any other flag to fly over this country, but actually, no, I think we all can imagine some other ones. Again, this is another flag that isn't really that old. This one was only adopted over 30 years ago. However, after World War I, this man suggested just turning Germany into Nordic. We're talking a lot about Nordic flags recently. There was also a 1948 proposal to do a tricolor, but vertically. These two brothers were also trying to force Germany into Nordic with this style. Now, I personally love the present-day official Indian flag. I love flags with orange in it. Again, a flag only officially established about 75 years ago. However, Gandhi himself, yes, Gandhi, Civ 5, without the nukes. That's right, this man, he was out here suggesting flags. He at first suggested this in 1921, then he went with this instead. It's basically Bulgaria with something else over it. I'm sorry, Gandhi, you know, I respect what you did, but I'm starting to question your vexology skills. This man tried to continue with that theme, but man, I don't know why. Then there was this proposal made by Anglo-India Weekly in 1904. What the hell is that? It must be a newspaper? Speaking of orange flags, here's Ireland's. Here's a proposal made in 1928, just throwing on pretty much every shield they could think of. Also an anonymous proposal. Gotta throw the Lucky Charms up there. I don't despise this, but it also looks like really, I don't know, like a very young kid came up with this. How about Kosovo? Oh boy. It's one thing when like nations had like flag proposals from decades ago that are horrible, but it's a complete different thing when they're relatively recent and they're horrible. Then again, our US state of Minnesota recently had 2,500 designs submitted to change their state flag, and there were plenty of terrible options. Here are some flag proposals from 2008 8 for Kosovo. I actually kind of like the black, white, and red, but I feel like this one's got to be saved for when like France completely loses their mind. Maybe they go fascist or something. Throwing in that Albanian symbol for the Kosovo flag. Now that's an interesting one. Not only is Estonia trying into Nordic, I guess supposedly Latvia is as well. I mean, if Estonia eventually gets in, I don't see why they can't go one country down after that. Of course, the nation of Lithuania, the southernmost Baltic nation, also has a Nordic-style cross proposal. That was back in 2011. It's crazy how some of these flag proposals can be just as popular as the official flag. This is the nation of Luxembourg, and this was the official flag proposal back in 2006. You can't even Google search Luxembourg flag without seeing the lion. Like, this is pretty popular. Part of the reason, though, is because that is their official coat of arms. So there's always been a push to change up the Luxembourg flag since it is almost identical to that of the Netherlands. I mean, it's one thing to copy someone's flag from halfway across the world, but come on, you guys are literally in the same group together, the lowland nations. Speaking of countries where flag proposals sometimes become more popular than the official flag, here's Australia. They've been having flag problems for a while. I mean, the third result when you Google Australia flag is a proposal. It's hard to officially change a flag, so I guess it shouldn't be surprising that like overall proposals can be more popular than the official. And Australia has had quite a lot of proposals. I mean, I think they're just trying to somehow smash the green in there since that is the official color of Australia. It's actually green and gold, yet their flag use neither one of these. You had two chances, green and gold, but your flag uses white, blue, and red. I mean, again, changing the nation's flag is probably on the lower end of the priority list, but I wonder who's going to eventually do it first. It's only a matter of time. Now, there's technically no official flag of Earth yet. This is probably the most popular with 7 rings representing these 7 continents. Already, that's controversial, though. I mean, we don't even agree on how many continents there are. Yeah, that's definitely not even passing already. However, this was an official flag proposal for the flag of Earth back in 1913. I kid you not. I can't believe it either. The World Peace Flag by James William Van Kirk. Also, the Olympic flag has been proposed for the flag of Earth. The UN, I don't think that's gonna work. Literally just an Earth flag. Okay, you can't just throw all the flags in there. Why are these so insane sometimes? I don't think you can use that symbol. Man, this Paul Carroll guy really going hard that we should just include all the flags with, like, he's changing them up slightly with like the middle part. He's committed to this idea. He's been suggesting it since literally the 1980s. Let's talk about the tragedy of the Welsh flag, the flag that is not represented on the current Union Jack. The United Kingdom is made up of 4 kingdoms, but only 3 of them are represented on the official flag. And I've heard from British people that's because they decided to make their flag green and with a giant dragon on it. So no, they're not going to include it in the Union Jack. However, looking at the other flag proposals, that probably is the best one to come up with. These other ones are so boring and unmotivated. Speaking of the United Kingdom, here are some other flags we almost got. These are all in 1604. I mean, they almost went with just completely excluding Ireland. They were just going Scotland and England. That might have been understandable though, since they hadn't conquered all this stuff up here yet. You can see this proposed Union Jack a little bit more similar to the modern day one. Here's another proposal incorporating the Irish harp. Here's the only official proposal with the Welsh dragon. Yeah, they're not gonna do that. It's a nice attempt though. I think this one's a bit more popular to at least include yellow, which is kind of a way to help include Wales there. And here's a proposed Union Jack in the event of a Scottish independence. Now, the territory of Crimea is not an independent country, but I have seen this flag often. This is their official flag. But I just wanted to show one of the proposals. It seems like a lot of the Vexology community has always been obsessed with the rainbow style. Whether it's the flag of Earth, the territory of Crimea, or this flag proposal for the nation of Armenia. And again, this was back in 1918. There's also the Bolivian flag proposal. This one is still popular. This, I believe, is supposed to represent the indigenous communities in the country. I feel like there hasn't been a nation more than Norway that's had more proposed flags, and a lot of them aren't necessarily in the Nordic cross style. Again, part of the reason too is that, well, maybe they've always been more obsessed with flag making in the Nordic countries, because again, Denmark has one of the oldest, and they're very serious on keeping with a theme up there. This is giving me like a Central American vibes. These are flag proposals from 1814, 1821. Part of the reason is Norway was given independence around that time. Well, actually, it was switched from Denmark to Swedish, but yeah, they got their independence in 1905. They were working on that flag for a while, though. My patrons on Patreon, thank you. KirinoIsBestGirl. Sebby, if you hear this, I love you. Jack Traven's annoying friend. I can't sleep without Drew's voice. Drew, I'm your dad, back with the milk. Look outside. Amateur Archaeology. aPhatNarwhal. Carmel Fredrik Tibblin. InquisitorXarius. Mexican JohnDenver. KirinoIsBestGirl. Lemons Limes. LuxembourgLover. Ortin 516. Robert RyeThePie. TheGreatRalphy. And ZaneyBoi.